Part 153. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1522. When Xiang Nan walked to the gate, a large group of people immediately gathered around. Tan Shahen asked anxiously, "How are you, Nan Nan?" Xiang Nan said, "I don't know either. The teacher didn't say anything and just asked me to come back in the afternoon." "Oh, this kid, you don't know how to ask the teacher," Tan Shahen shouted. Zhang Chen looked at his watch. It was already 10 o'clock. There was a lot of noise and traffic coming and going at the gate. Zhang Chen said, "Let's take a walk and go to the private room in Tuxianjiayuan. We will have lunch there." Everyone got in the car and drove to Yan'an Road. A large group of people sat down in the box, and Xiangnan told them everything about the morning exam. Lao Zhang stopped after hearing this and cursed. "What kind of bastard teacher is this? Nanan plays the violin very well, but he refuses to let her play the violin. He also makes her act and sing, and even do somersaults. Isn't this a joke?" Lao Tan laughed and said, "Not necessarily, this might be a good thing. It gives us an opportunity to show off our talents that others don't have. Think about it, how many people can do the somersault, especially is it a girl?" After hearing what Lao Tan said, everyone relaxed and felt that it made sense. Mrs. Tan said, "If that's better, why don't they just tell Nan Nan and ask her to go in the afternoon?" "What does it mean to go in the afternoon?" Zhang Chen's mother said, "Yes, there are 2 sections of the exam, isn't it all done in one sitting?" Mrs. Tan asked tentatively, "You said that if you go this afternoon, do you mean to take the makeup exam?" "The makeup exam only requires 2 exams. As soon as the 2 old ladies said that, everyone's worries that had just been relieved increased again. If this was a makeup exam, it would have to be a makeup exam, which means... Zhang Chen stood up and said, "I'll call and ask." Zhang Chen walked out. After a while, he came back with a smile and told them, "Don't worry, there will be a rematch in the afternoon." Out of the hundreds of people in the morning, only about 20 people were selected to enter the afternoon rematch. The competition is for several people to perform a skit together. It depends on their acting skills and their ability to cooperate with each other. When everyone heard this, they all laughed. Out of hundreds of people, only a few dozen were chosen. "Tisk," Zhang Chen's mother said, "I knew our Nanan could do it." Tan Shahen felt strange. She asked the education committee. The education committee didn't know about the art exam. Who could Zhang Chen ask? Tan Shahen asked Zhang Chen, "Who did you call?" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Don't worry about it, it's absolutely true anyway, that's what it is. Wenwen has been operating secretly until now." Of course, Zhang Chen cannot tell Tan Shahen. After lunch, tea in the private room, and a short rest, a large group of people got up and rushed to the provincial art school. The scene at the entrance of the art school in the afternoon was different from that in the morning. The gate was deserted. Xiang Nan still carried the violin case and walked inside. The other people were waiting in the car outside. When I arrived in the classroom, I sat for a while and saw that all the other students had arrived. I took a look at Xiang Nan and found that, as Uncle Zhang Chen had told me, there were only about 20 classmates. Xiang Nan was relieved. After a while, one of the 3 examiners in the morning came in with a handout and began to call the names. Those who were called were called. After the roll call, the teacher walked around the classroom, pointed at this and that, and said, "You should sit together in groups of 4. The people in the classroom were immediately divided into 6 groups. The teacher gave them numbers and told them that the skit was very simple. An old man got on the bus. The old man was not feeling well and wanted a young man to give up his seat. This young man just won't let it go, and you will decide the final result yourself. There are 4 roles in total: the old man, the young man who refuses to give up his seat, the bus driver and the conductor. You all assign the roles yourself. Do you understand? Everyone has made it clear. Okay, I'll give you 20 minutes to rehearse, and the exam will start in 20 minutes. After the examiner finished speaking, he went to the next classroom. The 6 groups here immediately gathered together and began to discuss. The quick ones took the seats and started rehearsing. Between each other, they had to be careful of other groups stealing theirs. For creativity, 2 groups went to the corridor outside, and the 4 groups inside occupied the 4 corners of the classroom. Xiang Nan's group was the third to start the performance, and Xiang Nan played the role of the conductor. At the beginning of the performance, the bus driver pulled over and said that stop XX has arrived. Passengers who are getting off, please get off. Get off first and then get on. The passenger, who plays the role of a young man, is sitting on a chair with his legs crossed and headphones on his ears, listening to music. The classmate who played the role of an elderly passenger got on the bus and shouted to Xiang Nan, "Can someone please give up your seat to the old man?" The elderly passenger stood behind the young man. The young man looked at him and continued to sit and listen to his own music. Xiang Nan looked at him and raised his voice, "Come on, please give up your seat to the old man." The young man continued to sit and hummed a song. The elderly passenger patted his shoulder and said to him, "Young man, sir, I don't feel well." The young man glanced at him, flicked the shoulder that had just been patted by the old man with his hand, and continued to sit. Xiang Nan became angry. She stood up and walked over, taking off the young man's headphones. The young man glared at her. With one glance, Xiang Nan cursed. "Why are you staring? You don't know how to take off your earphones when the old man is talking to you. Are you polite?" The young man said impatiently, tell me, what's the matter?" The old man said, "Young man, I don't feel well." "Young man, if you don't feel well, go to the hospital. Why are you looking for me?" Originally, there was a long dialogue next, and the classmate who played the role of the old man suddenly forgot the words, suppressed her blush, and was about to get stuck. Xiang Nan had an idea. She picked up the ticket folder, he patted the young man and cursed. "I don't think anyone knows. Don't you have any elderly people in your family? Don't you yourself grow old?" The young man woke up and quickly said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and stood up. The old man who was suppressing his blush sat down. The examiner on the left leaned over and said to the other 2, "I still know how to save the situation." The other 2 laughed. After shouting stop, the examiner in the middle remembered something and asked Xiang Nan, "Have you had any performance experience before?" Xiang Nan is right, he has acted in 1 movie and 2 TV series. When asked about the name, Xiang Nan told them. The examiner on the right said, "No wonder, I said it looked so familiar." The examiner in the middle told them that all your exams are over today, and you will wait for the notification. When Xiang Nan walked out of the gate of the provincial art school, a large group of people came around and asked what happened. Xiang Nan said, "I don't know, so I'll just wait for notification." "It's okay, it's just a matter of a few days." Later Zhang Chen's mother shouted, "Nanan, our family, will be fine." Tan Shahen felt uneasy. She asked Xiang Nan, "When is the exam for professional theater courses?" Hearing Tan Shahen's question, Xiang Nan became less confident and felt that she might have failed the exam. She raised her head and said with a sad face, "Next week, I'm going to Shanghai." When Zhang Chen saw it, he quickly said, "Let's go home first, and we will know the result later." Tan Shahen looked at him and said suspiciously, "Zhang Chen, what on earth are you doing?" Zhang Chen laughed and said, "What the hell? You're not going to go home. Do you want to stand here all the time?" Everyone got in the car and went to Meisi River. In the evening, they had dinner at Tan Shahen's house. When they arrived at Tan Shahen's house, The three old ladies started busy, and the two land reclamation warriors followed old Tan to the yard. Like old Tan's Bayo, one by one he showed them the flowers he raised, including 4 pots, and the seeds he asked for from the tropical botanical garden when he was in Sanya. Now they have sprouted. I don't know what it will be when it grows out. Anyway, it's not even in Mishai Park, Lao Tan said with 2 reclamation warriors. Xiongnan went back to his room. Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen were sitting on the sofa in the living room. Zhang Chen laughed when he saw Tan Shahen's worried look. Tan Shahen, what are you doing? I haven't seen you with such a grimace even if the sky falls. Tan Shahen said with a bitter face, I just feel like the sky is about to fall, and I don't have any confidence in my heart. Zhang Chen, if Nanan doesn't pass the exam this time, it's all your fault. Okay, it's all my fault, Zhang Chen said with a smile. I didn't expect you, Tan Shahen, to be so worried about gains and losses. Why not? I almost don't recognize myself, Tan Shahen said. Zhang Chen's phone rang. He looked at it and saw that it was Wen Wen. Zhang Chen took the phone and walked out. He pressed the answer button when he reached the door. As soon as the call came through, Wen Wen kept smiling on the phone. Zhang Chen was puzzled by her smile. Mr. Zhang, I was scolded, Wen Wen said and laughed again. Aren't you cheap for being so happy after being scolded? Zhang Chen scolded. No, no, Mr. Zhang, do you think there's something wrong with me? Wen Wen still smiled. Zhang Chen said that's right, and the illness is not serious. Come on, tell me, what's the matter? Those three people were all scolding me. They were scolding me for saying there was something wrong with me. Wen Wen continued to laugh, and she said, they thought I was going to give them some crooked melons and cracked jujubes, but they didn't expect it. Nanan, they said, if Nanan wants me to say hello, even a blind person can see that she is a good young talent. Really? Zhang Chen also laughed and said, isn't that very promising? There is no hope, Wen Wen said. Zhang Chen was startled and cursed, didn't you just say that about her? That's right, don't hope, it's already decided. Wen Wen interrupted Zhang Chen, they told me that they didn't dare to say anything about other people, but Nan, the three of them agreed that it was settled, and asked me to tell Nan not to attend other schools. They are also worried that Nanan will be snatched away by other schools. They said that there will definitely be no problem with Nanan's professional courses. Great, Zhang Chen shouted. I'm sure of it. I said there will be no problem with Nanan's cultural exam. She is a child who can take a book. Mr. Zhang, am I right? Zhang Chen smiled and said, that's right. They said that if this is the case, then there will definitely be no problem in moving from Nanan to Beijing Film Academy, Wen Wen said. That's great, Wen Wen, Zhang Chen shouted. Hurry up, then give me a sweet kiss, Wen Wen said. Go away, I haven't settled the score with you yet, Zhang Chen said. Did you deliberately keep talking to me in the car yesterday without reminding me? You made me arrive at the office like that, and were beaten by Xyli and the others. Laughing to death. Wen Wen laughed and said, you can kiss me, I'm not afraid of others laughing. Zhang Chen cursed again, and Wen Wen said, I won't go, I want a private room in Tuxianjiayuan. They said the food there is delicious, and they want to go there again. Give me a private room, and the order is unlimited. Zhang Chen said yes, I will send you the box number later. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen immediately called Tuxianjiayuan, asked for a box, sent the box number to Wen Wen, and then walked back. Tan Shahen seemed to know that this call should be related to Xiang Nan. Seeing Zhang Chen come in, she looked at him eagerly. Only then did Zhang Chen tell Tan Shahen that Wen Wen was in Hangzhou. She was with the 3 examiners last night and would still be there today. He also told Tan Shahen about her phone call just now. Tan Shahen screamed ah, and then shouted, Nanan, Nanan, come quickly. Her shout not only called Xiang Nan out of the room, but also called Mrs. Tan, Zhang Chen's mother, Xiao Zhao's mother, two land reclamation warriors and Lao Tan into the living room. Thank you for the tip of the chair in the world. Thank you for the chair in the world, Tianying 1978, why can't I change my name, Robin Granite, and Ermau's monthly ticket? Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1523. More than a week later, as soon as the results of Xiangnan's professional courses came out, Wen Wen immediately called Tan Shahen and asked Tan Shahen to go online to check it out. In fact, Tan Shahen did not know how many times a day she browsed the Beijing Film Academy's website and had already seen the announced list. I was worried that they might have the same name, but I felt relieved after receiving a call from Wen Wen. Wen Wen, that Feng Xiangnan is our Nanan, right? Tan Shahen asked. Of course, that's right. Nanan is now a celebrity. Many teachers are waiting to see her do somersaults, Wen Wen said with a smile. Okay, turn it over when you get there, turn it over when you get there. Tan Shahen also smiled. Putting down the phone, Tan Shahen breathed a sigh of relief and felt that a stone in her heart had fallen to the ground. However, her relaxation only lasted for one day. Starting from the next day, Tan Shahen started to have new thoughts. Although she knew Xiangnan's culture, the grades in the class and the score required to pass the art exam are almost certain, but when I see Xiang Nan every day, I still keep saying, Nanan, mother told you to stop being impatient and not to relax. Xiang Nan studied with Lin Shuwen and even passed the IELTS test. Tan Shahen still asked, Nanan, did you memorize today's English words? Tan Shahen knew that Xiang Nan was disgusted with these behaviors of hers. When she calmed down and thought about it, she herself felt a little funny about her behaviors, but there was nothing she could do about it. As long as it was Xiang Nan's affairs, she couldn't calm down most of the time. Seems to be a different person. Tan Shahen and Zhang Chen said, well, after having a child, Zhang Chen, I feel that my courage has become smaller. What were we afraid of before, but now, whenever I encounter Nanan affairs, I am still not confident and worry about gains and losses. Zhang Chen smiled and said, do you understand Lao Tan now? Parents don't think their children are not good enough, but hope that they can be better. In the eyes of others, you Tan Shahen, even if you are already very good, in the eyes of Lao Tan, I still feel it's not good enough and I still have to keep nagging. Tan Shahen was startled for a moment, and she said, yes, Zhang Chen, you are right. Thinking about it now, it is not easy for any parent, but it is a pity that children cannot understand it. Do you still want them to be grateful? Zhang Chen asked. Shouldn't it? Tan Shahen asked. I don't think it should be, Zhang Chen said. As a parent, you must get rid of this concept. What are you talking about, Zhang Chen? I'm not talking nonsense. What I said is true. I never thought that one day Zhang Xiangbei would have the idea of repaying his kindness. Zhang Chen said, don't think it's not easy for me to raise you. It's natural for you to be filial to me, you know, even animals know how to raise their children, this is instinct and what parents should do. Fresh Tan Shahen looked at Zhang Chen with wide eyes and said, think about it, when you gave birth to a child, did you ask him if he agreed? It's not because adults want their own happiness or some concept of passing on the family line that they gave birth to children. Anyway, I admit it. Zhang Xiangbei was not what Xiao Zhao and I planned. We were just doing it for our own happiness, but we didn't expect that there would be an accident, and Zhang Xiangbei was an accident. Zhang Chen said. Tan Shahen laughed. Zhang Chen looked at her seriously and said to her, don't laugh, I'm talking to you about a very serious issue. Tan Shahen had a serious face, and she said, okay, I am also very serious, you continue, Zhang Chen. You probably don't deny that when the child is born and you hold him, the huge joy is incomparable. This kind of joy has already made you too clear. The next step is responsibility. We gave birth to the child without consulting the child's wishes. We are not kings and queens. We did not give birth to them so that they can enjoy happiness. Instead, we came to endure hardship. What do you want the child to thank you for? What do you have to be grateful for? Thank you for bringing him to endure hardships? But now that the child has been born, this is a fait accompli. Next comes the responsibility I mentioned. Parents should fulfill their parental responsibilities and try their best to create good conditions for their children's growth. During this process, parents are in their children's minds. The image in the movie is created by the parents themselves, so parents who are hummed up are parents who have failed to fulfill their parental responsibilities. This does not mean that parents must give their children how much money or wealth, but how hard you work to fulfill this responsibility and let your children see your efforts. It is at this time that family affection is born, because the child knows that no one in this world will work so hard for him except you. Only then will your image in the child's mind become perfect. Those kind of hummed up parents don't think so. They think everything is natural. I gave birth to you and it's right to beat and scold you. It's also right to ignore you. You should listen to me in everything. Yes, he treats children as dolls and objects of vent. But when you are older and he is older, he feels that you should be filial to me. He doesn't know that it is because he has not fulfilled his responsibility as a parent. What is between him and his children is not family affection, but estrangement. If a child hates you so much, even if he takes care of you, he is being hypocritical and fulfilling his responsibility as a child. Tan Shahen smiled and said, Zhang Chen, I think what you said makes sense, but it's still a bit nonsense. No, if you think about it carefully, you will know that it is not. Zhang Chen said, no matter what, children are passive. They have no way to choose their parents, and they have no way to decide whether their parents will hum up or not, so here among them, being a parent has a greater responsibility, that is, you have to work hard to not be so hummed up. If I hadn't been a father myself, I would have felt a little frivolous when I said this, and it would have been a little uncomfortable to stand up and talk. But after I became a father, I felt that it is important for parents to position themselves correctly, otherwise the children will become farther and farther away from you. Even if I am with you, my heart is already far away. Okay, I'll work hard to keep Nanan from leaving me, Tan Shahen said. Let's encourage each other, Zhang Chen said, at least let's not be so hummed up. So far, it seems to be okay. We need to keep working hard. In March, the transaction volume of first-hand housing in Hangzhou suddenly increased, reaching 4,767 units, which was more than the transaction volume in the same period in 2007 and 2082 combined. Tan Shahen knew that this was caused by the stimulus of price cuts, but at least the market was as she expected, and popularity had returned. Tan Shahen sent people from her company's sales department to pretend to be home buyers and asked them to go to various sales departments to inquire about information. Every day, they would write down the information and give it to her. Tan Shahen carefully compared the changes in house prices for the same property. Half a month later, she found that each sales department was quietly increasing the discount range. The 30% discount was first adjusted to 7.2%, 70% off, it was 50% off and finally became 20% off. The original 20% off was also adjusted to 8.3% off and 8.5% off. Everything went as she expected, which made her relieved. More than one salesperson brought back shocking news. They told Tan Shahen that Wenzhou people were back, and there seemed to be a lot of Wenzhou people in every sales department. Tan Shahen asked them if they were Wenzhou people doing business in Hangzhou. They said no, it was not one or two people who came, but several people, driving together from Wenzhou. A real estate speculator group, Tan Shahen asked. The other party nodded and told her that sometimes you can see several groups of Wenzhou real estate speculators in the same building at the same time. This news made Tan Shahen feel extremely excited. Wenzhou people are the Jews in China. Their sense of the market always seems to be more sensitive than others. If the Wenzhou real estate speculators come back, then the market may have really begun to pick up. So you can say that a big wave of market conditions has arrived quietly. Thinking about it, it's almost the same. The effect of 4 trillion yuan should also be transmitted to real estate, Tan Shahen thought to herself. Although every real estate project in Hangzhou has been quietly increasing in price, the transaction volume continues to increase at an incredible speed. In April, the transaction volume of houses in the main urban area of Hangzhou has reached as high as 6,267 units. Close to the high point in recent years, the monthly transaction volume record set in June 2007 -6,532 units. Except for Hangzhou, where Tan Shahen and the others have no houses to sell, the transaction volume of branches in other cities is also rising. Tan Shahen revised her letter to all shareholders. In the second half of the letter, she added new data, predicting that the real estate industry in China has begun to improve, and the company will launch it at the Hangzhou Real Estate Fair in May. The Jiangkan project will definitely bring good sales results to the company. Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen said, since you have already started to be a profiteer, you should simply be more of a profiteer, so that you will be attractive. How to do it? Tan Shahen asked. Didn't you fail to achieve your goal of 20 billion last year? This year, you might as well make a big move and set the sales target to 23 billion, Zhang Chen said. In this way, it will be more beneficial to shareholders. Exciting. Tan Shahen thinks Zhang Chen's suggestion is very good. After calculating several of their projects with Lao Tan and Yao Fen, she feels that if the situation improves further, it is still possible to complete the sales task of 23 billion this year. Not really bragging. Tan Shahen also wrote this goal in her letter. Tan Shahen's open letter, together with the appalling 2008 annual report, revealed that their company's stock price did not plummet as Tan Shahen expected, but only dropped slightly by more than $1 Hong Kong. It seems that investors accepted the statement in Tan Shahen's open letter. They also believe that the mainland's real estate market is picking up. By the end of April, no one doubts that the entire real estate and housing prices have entered a fast lane. The Hangzhou Real Estate Fair in May will be the most anticipated real estate fair for Hangzhou real estate developers. Thank you, Tai Zongshang 1. At about 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, I rewarded 2 fishes. Thank you, Hoo, reader 11963189776326411024, book friend 201705172254399985, Lao Shenzi Sang, Zhen Lao Lu, Cool Wei Xing, book friend 2020226135023200, Hydrogen Oxide Disinfection Knowledge Bureau, Rainman, Baikan Scholar, The Distance is Neither Far Nor Near, Soft and Melodious 123, book friend 11030522171567 monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1524. Target's payments for goods have come back one after another, including Shentu Hanjian's and her friend's first batch of payments. None of the more than 20 payments for goods was delayed. They were all paid 2 or 3 days early. This made Zhang Chen and Su Qiaxin were completely relieved. Shentu Hanjian also told Zhang Chen that if Jessica is like this, we will feel more at ease if we continue to do business. Mr. Zhang, to tell you the truth, I was a bit of a good guy when I was at your place that day. Thinking about it in the factory, I'm still a little scared, but the cow has already been blown out, so there's nothing we can do. Zhang Chen laughed and said, actually, I'm just like you. When I got to the factory and saw so many workers working day and night, I was a little worried. I thought, don't end up in vain. But it's fine now, right? Shentu Hanjian said. Yes, it's fine now. You can rest assured, Zhang Chen said. Jessica has also promised that when they have sufficient funds, they will change the payment method by October this year at the latest. That's great, Mr. Zhang, you read that right. This Jessica is really a good person, Shentu Hanjian said. Xiao Fang called Zhang Chen and told him that Target's operating conditions were improving and their company's stock price had been rising. Brother-in-law, it should be past the critical period, and now our company is already in front of Target. One of the top 10 shareholders of outstanding shares, I have their financial data here. Their beautiful CEO, because of her turnaround during this crisis, was on the cover of Fortune magazine and was named a future business elite, Xiao Fang and Zhang Chen said, and Zhang Chen knew that she was talking about outstanding achievements. Sika. Su Qiaxin walked into Zhang Chen's office, sat across from him, and said to him seriously, "Boss, I have to talk to you." Zhang Chen said, "Yes, what to talk about?" "Although we got through the matter of killing Jessica this time by luck, we can't do it next time. You are the boss. Once you agree, even a few of us cows won't be able to pull you back. It's very difficult to do." Zhang Chen promised that there will be no next time. "Why, are you afraid?" "Of course, I feel that people are getting old doing this list," Su Qiaxin said. "That's just right. It's a perfect match for Xiao Wu," Zhang Chen said with a smile. "Go, I don't want to be as old as him," Su Qiaxin said. "By the way, have you two thought about what's going to happen next?" Zhang Chen asked. Su Qiaxin lowered her head and said, "I don't even dare to tell my mother. She will definitely not agree if I tell her." Zhang Chen nodded and said, "Indeed, as parents, if I hear about a situation like yours, my first reaction will definitely be to object. With such a big difference in age and education, your mother will definitely call you crazy." "That's right, I don't know what to do," Su Qiaxin said with a bitter face. "Actually, there is a way," Zhang Chen said. "What can we do, boss?" Su Qiaxin asked urgently. "You can ask your parents to come to Hangzhou to play first, and then you pretend that you can't drive, and let Xiao Wu drive them to play every day. After getting in touch, if they think Xiao Wu is a good person, you can talk to them again. When you tell them, they also have a buffer, and they won't feel so sudden, especially when no one sees it. It will be even more sudden if you tell them rashly." Su Qiaxin laughed and said, "Thank you, boss. This method might work, but that damn Xiao Wu, will he hide by then? No, this is the job I gave him. You have to go to work. When your parents come, I will give him the task and ask him to accompany your parents. There is no way he can refuse," Zhang Chen said. "Ha ha, the boss is still mighty," Su Qiaxin laughed. "Then it's settled, tell me when your parents are coming," Zhang Chen and Su Qiaxin said. Su Qiaxin nodded repeatedly. Xiao Wu came in from the door. Su Qiaxin looked at him and laughed. Xiao Wu was confused by her look and asked, "Why are you laughing?" "I won't tell you." Su Qiaxin stood up and left. Xiao Wu looked at Zhang Chen, who smiled and said, "I'll tell you then." When they met Tan Shahen again, Zhang Chen talked about this with Tan Shahen. Tan Shahen said, "Yes, Xiao Wu is not young anymore and he really needs to consider this issue. It is not easy for him to meet Jiao Xian. When Qiaxin's parents come, tell me and we will work together to convince her parents." Zhang Chen said yes. The happy days passed quickly, and it was May in the blink of an eye. On the day when the Hangzhou Real Estate Fair was about to open, Tan Shahen and the others could no longer hold themselves back, and what was even more unbearable than them was the housing prices in Hangzhou. For those properties with discounts, the discounts have been cancelled long ago, but people are still buying houses. In the sales departments of various properties, not only the Wenzhou real estate speculators have returned, but also the real estate speculators from Yuwu, Taizhou, and Shaoxing have returned. There are many people here, like those creditors in Shaoxing, who originally lent money to factories to earn some interest. This time, everyone suffered losses to some extent, so they thought it was better to use the money to buy house insurance. If you have a house in hand, you can make a lot of money when the house price rises. If it falls, at least the house is still in your hands and you will not lose everything. This financial crisis has frightened everyone. In Hangzhou and even Zhejiang, the threshold for borrowing private funds is getting higher and higher. Gone are the days when you can borrow money just by stamping and signing. Private borrowings, like banks, began to require physical collateral. In this way, the channels for the circulation of private funds were blocked. But the funds still have to come from a source. This part of the funds either went to the stock market or the property market. Foreign trade companies throughout Zhejiang are in a downturn, with a large loss of orders. Many small and medium-sized enterprise owners have been forced to close their factories, or suspend production, and mortgage their factories to banks. With the money, they have nowhere to go, either to the stock market or to the stock market. The property market. At the same time, the huge amount of credit brought by the 4 trillion yuan did not enter the real economy as expected due to the downturn in the manufacturing industry. Instead, it entered the stock market in large quantities. The stock index quickly soared from less than 2,000 points at the beginning of the year to above 3,000 points. The stock market, which wiped out China's middle class in 2007, has once again become a money-making machine, creating wealth myths one after another. It is precisely because of the huge amount of credit that has caused everyone to worry about inflation that hard goods such as houses have become everyone's preferred target, including those who have made money in the stock market and have also transferred their money to the property market. In addition, local governments across the country are carrying out a large number of various infrastructure projects, which makes many people who are clinging to them feel that money has never been easier to make and their pockets have never been bigger. Their bulging pockets are also aimed at the property market. Another more important reason is that the unique scenery here in 2008 made overseas funds from all walks of life optimistic about the Chinese market. They entered the Chinese property market through various channels. The combination of several factors caused the real estate market in 2009 to quickly enter a mad cow market, making 2009 a watershed year for China's real estate market. That is to say, starting from this year, China's real estate market became no longer simple. The financing channels and methods of real estate companies became diversified. The direct consequence was that the central bank exerted influence on the real estate market through monetary means. The ability is getting weaker and weaker, which is why after 2009, the entire Chinese real estate market has seen housing prices rising as the regulations are tightened. For Tan Shehen and others, they could not see clearly at that time and had no time to care. They only knew that the housing prices in Hangzhou had not only risen to the scheduled housing prices of their Jiangkan project, but also seemed to have exceeded it. Tan Shehen called Lao Tan and sales director Xiao Lu to her office. After the three people discussed it, they adjusted the house price of their Jiangkan project from the original plan 21,000 to 25,000, and launched the original installment plan into all products will be launched at once, and pre-orders will also be launched for those who have not obtained pre-sale qualifications. Take advantage of this opportunity and make sure you are safe, Tan Shehen told them. Lao Tan smiled and said success or failure depended on this. On May 8, the real estate fair opened. This time, the fair is no longer in the World Trade Center, but moved to the Peace Convention and Exhibition Center. The parking lot and open space in front of the Peace Convention and Exhibition Center are more than 10 times the size of the square in front of the World Trade Center. big. When Tan Shahen and Lao Tan arrived, they saw that the door was crowded with people and the car could not drive in. They got off the car on the road outside and walked through the crowd towards the gate. They were enjoying themselves while walking. They heard people in the crowd. More than Hangcheng dialect, are Wenzhou dialect, Yuwu dialect, Taizhou dialect, and Shaoxing dialect that make them feel more familiar. Yes, as Tan Shahen walked away, she felt that there was something going on. This housing fair was unprecedentedly grand. In the 2 days since its opening, more than 3,400 houses in Tan Shahen's Jiangkan project were fully booked, with 982 units pre-sold. And this May, the housing transaction volume in the main urban area of Hangzhou historically exceeded the 10,000 unit mark, reaching 10,058 units. The Jibao Zhu Fangyuan real estate in the booth next to Tan Shahen's group was priced at more than 8,000 yuan per square meter in February. No one was interested, and the sales department was empty. Today, the developer raised the price to 9,000 yuan per square meter, triggering a large number of people in Wenzhou to queue up. Just 1 day later, the developer raised the price to 9,500 yuan, attracting even more followers. The next day, the price was raised again. The price was as high as 10,000, but it was sold out. The scene of 3 price increases for one offer was once again staged at the housing fair. The boss of Zhu Fangyuan cheerfully told Tan Shahen that more than 70% of the buyers of their property are from Wenzhou, and Tan Shahen and her Jiangkan project have buyers from Wenzhou, Taizhou, Yuwu, and Shaoxing. Those are also more than half. The houses in Zhu Fangyuan and Jibao could be sold for 10,000 yuan. Everyone thought it was too exaggerated. At the real estate fair, it aroused heated discussions among many real estate developers and media reporters. But what they didn't expect was that a few months later, the price of the Shengaoling apartment next door to Zhu Fangyuan had soared to 18,000 yuan/square meter. Hangzhou's housing prices once again led the country at a jaw-dropping speed, surpassing this momentum lasted until July of the following year. At that time, the average price of new houses in 100 cities across the country was far ahead, with Hangzhou at 25,840 yuan, followed by Beijing at 22,310 yuan, Shanghai at 19,168 yuan, and Shenzhen at 16,984 yuan, ranking 6th, behind Wenzhou and Sanya, and Guangzhou. The average price is 12,560 yuan, ranking 7th after Ningbo. 2009 was really a golden year for Tan Shahen and others. Every day they opened the door, everything that rolled in was gold. This is something. Thank you for your monthly votes from the poor people with short ambitions, the thin horses with long hair, Lu, Jiangnan's Hainan 0111, the fish-eating brother, Book Friend 20171021212013332343, and Book Friend 201906211331025536. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1525. It had only been 2 days since the opening of the real estate fair, and Tan Shahen and her family's house had been sold out. There were still 4 days left, and they couldn't just sit there. Tan Shahen thought of City in the Sky, and even the houses in Jibao Ziyasha could sell so well. Tan Shahen feels that the time is ripe for Sky City to open again. Tan Shahen told Lao Tan her thoughts, and Lao Tan agreed with Tan Shahen's opinion. He said that no matter what, we must try, and the city in the sky cannot always be sealed there. Tan Shahen took Lao Tan and Xiao Lu to the city in the sky and opened the sales office that had been sealed for several years. Looking at the scene inside, they felt a chill in their hearts. They saw that the sand table made of foam and wallpaper was dilapidated, and the wallpapers pasted on the foam had become warped one by one. The city parks where the original green grass was rippling were also covered up. A thick layer of dust. When such a sandbox is placed at a real estate fair, it is the beggars' gang selling houses, not their splendid china. Tan Shahen called Zhang Chen and told him the matter. Zhang Chen said, "Please pull that shelf over and paint it. It can still be used. It's too late to make the shelf now. Leave the rest to me." Tan Shahen quickly said, "Thank you, thank you." Zhang Chen called Ji Ling over, told her the matter, and told her that all the designers would work overtime tonight to get the sand table out. Ji Ling said, "Have we never done this?" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I have done it before, and I will do it with you." He took the pen and paper and started writing, and soon it filled up a piece of paper. He called Xiao Wu over and told him, "You and Ji Ling, go and buy all these things immediately." Xiao Wu glanced at the list and asked, "Do you want to cut foam and plexiglass?" When the troupe was being left alone, Xiang's husband and the others made plexiglass and foam calligraphy for people in their rehearsal hall. Xiao would go there and play when he was free, so he knew about it. Zhang Chen smiled and said to Ji Ling, "Did you see that we have another knowledgeable person to help us?" Ji Ling and Xiao Wu left. Zhang Chen called Lao Tang and asked him to come over and help. Lao Tang said, "If the king calls me, of course I will come as soon as he is called, right away. My factory will make arrangements and I will come over." When Tan Shahen and the others arrived, Old Tang also arrived, and Xiao Wu and Ji Ling returned after buying everything. The wooden frame of the Sky City sand table was very large, measuring 1.8 meters by 3.2 meters. Zhang Chen asked him to move it to the parking lot on the first floor, saying that it was to be moved upstairs. After it was done, there was no way to move it down. It is now around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, far from the closing time of the market. Although the cars in the parking lot are not full, they are parked very scattered. There are cars here and there. It is necessary to find a complete 50 or 60. I really can't find a square meter of open space. Hagen marked a spot in the corner, where 3 cars were parked. Hagen asked the security guards to go to each stall one by one to ask whose car it was. When he found it, he asked the car owner to come over and move the car. Hagen called the market's electrician to pull out a power supply from the market to the parking lot. Zhang Chen asked Xiao Wu to go upstairs and ask Su Qiaxin for the 3 largest tents, the kind we made for the Wenchuan earthquake-stricken area. Xiao Wu took 2 security guards and carried the tents. Everyone set up 3 tents, 1 for the sand table model and 2 for the studio, so that even if it rained at night, there was no need to worry. Hagen asked electricians to install 3 little suns and multi-purpose sockets in 3 tents. He also moved 8 tables and placed them in 2 tents. A group of 4 tables were put together to form a workbench. Zhang Chen asked Tan Shahen for a brochure of City in the Sky. Tan Shahen asked, "What brochure? When we came, we didn't bring a brochure, so why do we need a brochure?" "Then you really want me to make a city in the sky?" Zhang Chen said with a smile, "I always want to know what your city in the sky looks like." Tan Shahen woke up and quickly asked Xiao Lu to go to the company to get it. Over there, Xiao Wu and Lao Tang had already started making tools for cutting foam boards using heating wires, springs, and voltage regulators. Hagen called a security guard who had been a painter and asked him to repaint the entire wooden shelf. Xiao Lu brought over the brochure of City in the Sky. Zhang Chen looked at the bird's eye view inside and immediately felt how difficult this job was. This sand table is a model of the entire Sky City, not a model of a residential complex. There are hundreds of houses in it, as well as streets, lakeside parks and central squares, mountain racecourses and stadiums. Surrounding the central square are 8 high-rise buildings. Among them, the landmark building of Sky City, the commercial complex, is as high as 42 floors. Standing on the top of the building, you can even see Liangzhou not far away. The entire central square is designed in European style, with sculptural fountains, water fountains, and semicircular Roman wall columns in the middle. To make this sand table attractive, it is necessary to include the street lights on both sides of the city roads and the gardens of each community, all of which are lifelike. You can imagine the amount of work to do it. At that time, Tan Shahan Sandbox was created by an advertising company, but it took more than a month to make it. Now it has to be produced in less than 20 hours. You can imagine how difficult it is. Lao Tan knew a thing or two about this, and he knew how much work it was. He told Zhang Chen that he could just make a rough outline, but if he had to do it all, he was afraid it would be too late. Zhang Chen knows the importance of the sand table, especially in real estate fairs. Home buyers have not gone to the sites of various real estate projects. Everyone chooses a house based on their first impression by looking at the sand table and property brochures. If the sandbox is shoddy, it will be compared with other properties. It will feel like being ridiculed and laughed at by the crowd. According to Zhang Chen's personality of striving for perfection in everything, he would not allow such a thing to be made by his own hands. Zhang Chen smiled bitterly at Lao Tan and said, "Then your project will cost at least 1,000 yuan less." Old Tang looked at the aerial view in the brochure and said to Zhang Chen, "Give me 2 people, and leave the background, streets, parks, racecourses, and stadiums to me." Zhang Chen agreed and immediately sent 2 designers to Lao Tang. The big results are guaranteed by Old Tang, so Zhang Chen can rest assured. But the difficulty of the sand table still lies in making the houses one after another. Zhang Chen thought for a while and told Tan Shahan and Lao Tan that there was no other way. He could only omit some parts and focus on the city square and the surrounding areas. On the house, as long as this square comes out, the momentum of the entire sand table will come out. The residential areas have been built like this and are ready to be launched. This time we will build them for other residential areas. We will cover the entire area with trees and gardens, and then mark them with the words "to be developed." Zhang Chen, Tan Shahan, and Lao Tan said. Both said yes. After omitting it, there are still more than 100 house models to be made, and the workload is still quite large. Moreover, since other places have been omitted, the central square of the city must be made more delicate. Only in this way can the entire sand table be erected. Zhang Chen decided that these 8 buildings must be made of plexiglass, otherwise the texture of these 8 buildings would not be good enough. Zhang Chen called Ji Ling and others together, and after a brief division of labor, they started building one building after another. When it came time to actually make it, Zhang Chen complained endlessly. These designers under Ji Ling had never made a model before. They took a wire saw to saw the plexiglass. The plexiglass cracked without even sawing twice. It was not easy. I cut out the plexiglass sheet, and when I used a file or a drill to drill holes, I broke the sheet again. There are also those who use electric heating wires to cut foam boards, but their hand gestures are not good, and the foam blocks they cut out are crooked. Some people simply burn their arms and have to withdraw from the battlefield before they go to the battlefield. There were a lot of people in several tents, with more than 20 people crowded in, but the only ones who could really work were Zhang Chen, Lao Tang, Xiao Wu, and Lao Tan. The other people were nearby, not only unable to help, he was so busy that he became more and more helpful. Old Tang was so angry that he drove the 2 designers away. He said that it would be better for me to do it by myself. Zhang Chen saw that the people responsible for drilling holes in the plexiglass kept cracking the plexiglass sheets, so he asked them to use red-hot wire drills. As a result, the entire piece of plexiglass was deformed due to heat, which made Zhang Chen dumbfounded. Zhang Chen thought of the machine and bench drill at home, and felt that those 2 tools would definitely come in handy here. Zhang Chen called Xiao Wu and asked him to go to his home to get these 2 tools. Xiao Wu drove away in the car. When he came back 20 minutes later, Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment. He saw not only Xiao Wu but also the 2 reclamation warriors getting out of the car. Xiao Wu saw Zhang Chen, he smiled and said, "Reinforcements are coming. I didn't call them. They knew what was going on here and asked to join the battle. Zhang Chen laughed, wondering how he had forgotten this. These two land reclamation warriors were the real professionals. They are really reinforcements. When Lao Tan saw them, he also laughed. He said, "It can be saved. This sandbox can be saved." Lao Zhang and Xiao Zhao's father looked at the sand table and then at the aerial view. They both became excited when they saw that it was such a big project and they had to rush for time. Lao Zhang asked what materials were used to make it, and Zhang Chen told them. Lao Zhang pointed to the 8 buildings surrounding the square on the bird's eye view, and said to Zhang Chen, "Leave these 8 buildings to the two of us, you two do other things." Zhang Chen opened his eyes wide and shouted in disbelief, "You two can build all 8 buildings, is it impossible? Is it impossible? The materials are the same, transparent plexiglass, right?" Lao Zhang asked. Zhang Chen is right. Lao Zhang said, "That's no problem, but it's not allowed to be so messy. Give us a separate tent." Xiao Zhao's father kept nodding beside him. Zhang Chen was overjoyed and quickly asked everyone to free up a tent for the 2 reclamation warriors. With so many people left, it was too crowded to squeeze into one tent, so Zhang Chen asked Hagen to set up another tent next to them. "Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at one time and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly votes from Hu, Zhe, Buduweng, Shiyo 2019051421534839. Why can't I change my name, Kingbo, Shiyo 201911021135464718, Robin Granite, Humor Tribe, Taizongshan 1, Shiyo 201710212013332343. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1526. Zhang Chen usually only knew 2 reclamation warriors who made models in the backyard workshop every day, but he had never cared about how they made the models. He had only seen the models they made, and it should be said that their level was not good enough. Low. Today, these 2 people volunteered to take over the 8 most difficult buildings as soon as they arrived. Zhang Chen was curious. He wanted to know where they got their confidence and how they had such ability. After the 2 land reclamation warriors received the task, they did not start immediately. Instead, they sat down. Lao Zhang took the brochure, opened it and looked at the bird's eye view inside. On the bird's eye view, Zhang Chen had marked for each house, the size of the model is made. Xiao Zhao's father held a pen in his hand and a stack of paper in front of him. Lao Zhang held a tape measure and kept pulling it open, making gestures horizontally and vertically, and told Xiao Zhao the measurement of length by width. Xiao Zhao's father wrote it down on the paper. Lao Zhang closed his eyes slightly and muttered something. He was calculating how many sheets of this size would be needed in these 8 buildings. After calculating clearly, he told Xiao Zhao's father, who then after the size, write it down. At this time, Lao Zhang was just like Zhang Chen when he was painting. He already had a clear image of the 8 buildings in his mind. When he was mumbling words, he was looking at the 8 buildings and counting them in detail. When Zhang Chen went in, he saw that the paper in front of Xiao Zhao's father was already filled with a large page. After each size, there were 15 written, 32 written, and 4 and 8 written on it. Each is different. Zhang Chen's eyes lit up. He knew that they were counting materials, not for one building, but for all 8 buildings. After calculating the materials, they put a large piece of plexiglass on the table. I took a steel ruler and a utility knife and started cutting the material. The building materials are basically rectangular, square, or trapezoidal, with few curvatures. It is indeed more convenient and efficient to cut with a utility knife than a saw. After Lao Zhang cut a part, he handed it to Xiao Zhao's father. Xiao Zhao's father told Lao Zhang a size and quantity. Lao Zhang gestured on the plexiglass board, and then started cutting with a utility knife. A large piece of plexiglass. The glass was quickly cut into countless small pieces by Lao Zhang. Xiao Zhao's father picked up these cut pieces of wood, walked aside, and put them into 8 piles of pieces. They were separated when they were placed. Some needed to be punched for opening doors and windows, and some needed to be opened. No need, he put them in categories, and then he put a square root on the piece of paper he had written down in front of him, indicating that he had finished taking out the pieces of this size. Zhang Chen looked at the pieces of plexiglass, which were quickly divided under their hands. The speed was too fast and the efficiency was too high. Zhang Chen was dumbfounded and also greatly inspired. He walked back to another tent and asked everyone to stop first. He also began to rearrange. Except for the 8 houses made of plexiglass, the other houses were made of foam blocks of various shapes with stickers on the outside. Made of wallpaper or flocked paper in different colors. The shapes of the houses in a community are the same. Zhang Chen summarized all the houses that needed to be built and calculated how many houses were needed for each shape. He no longer asked everyone to cut the foam blocks that everyone needed, but cut all the foam blocks. The work of cutting foam blocks was handed over to Xiao Wu and Lao Tan. Each of them guarded a homemade electric heating wire cutting machine, specifically responsible for cutting foam blocks. Others are responsible for cutting wallpaper and flocking paper of different sizes and colors, and even more people are responsible for pasting wallpaper and flocking paper pieces onto foam blocks. After the large shapes are formed, the 2 people led by Ge Ling pasted wallpapers and flocking papers of other colors on them to make doors, windows, and balconies, or they painted directly on them with pens. Finally, there is someone specifically responsible for doing the roof. After such a division of labor, the efficiency has been greatly increased. More importantly, after dividing the entire production process into small processes, everyone only does their own part of the work and quickly becomes proficient. Zhang Chen thought, didn't he think about the little things he did when he was making wedding dresses in Xiaosha factory? Why didn't he think earlier that he still needed the inspiration of 2 pioneer warriors? Zhang Chen himself also laughed. He walked to the next tent and saw here that old Tang had laid foam boards on the entire shelf. Holding a soldering iron in his hand, like a carver, he carved out lakes and mountains on the foam board, and the entire large area was covered with foam boards. The terrain has been laid out, and he still needs to use a soldering iron to continue making streets one by one. Then put blue flocking paper on the lake, green flocking paper on the mountain, and gray flocking paper on the street. Old Tang waved the soldering iron in his hand and said to Zhang Chen, "My focus is to make this square and carve out the sculptures and Roman columns out of foam." "Is it okay?" Zhang Chen asked. Pediatrics. As old Tang spoke, he moved his fat body. The soldering iron in his hand was as dexterous as an embroidery needle. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "Old Tang, you are really the most agile fat man I have ever seen." Old Tang laughed. By about 10 o'clock in the evening, the 2 land reclamation warriors had cut all the materials needed for the 8 buildings, and those that needed to be drilled had also been drilled. Next, they needed to use chloroform to cut them. These sheets of wood are glued together to form houses. Xyli and Su Kioxin ran down to help. Lao Zhang gave them useless materials to try, and finally thought that Xyli could do it, but Su Kioxin was a little rough and couldn't do such a delicate job. He kicked her out and said she was here. "Get in the way." Su Kioxin came out with a flat mouth. When she saw Zhang Chen, she said, "Boss, I was fired by the boss, what should I do?" Zhang Chen smiled and said to her, "You can go to old Tang and help him insert the fake trees one by one into the floor." Su Kioxin went to find Lao Tang. At around 3 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Chen was still worried that the 2 land reclamation warriors would be overwhelmed. He walked in to take a look, but saw that they were in high spirits. When Lao Zhang saw Zhang Chen come in, he asked him, "Where are you living? All done?" Zhang Chen said no. Without you, do you still have time to wander around? There are only a few hours left, Lao Zhang cursed. Zhang Chen laughed and quickly withdrew, thinking to himself, these two old comrades are really selfless in their work. They are completely in the zone. At about 7 o'clock in the morning, Xiaoli ran over and shouted, "Come and take a look, it's so beautiful." People in other tents put down their work and ran to the tent of two land reclamation warriors. They saw 8 buildings standing neatly on the platform, and 2 land reclamation warriors were sitting and smoking. Everyone looked at these 8 plexiglass buildings. They were really beautiful. Old Tang shouted, "Awesome, uncle, you have really completed such a big project and done it so beautifully. It is completely the workmanship of an expert." Lao Zhang and Xiao Zhao's father were laughing. Zhang Chen looked at it and couldn't help but admire him. He had made a model himself and knew the doorways inside. These 8 buildings were not only completed, but also completed very neatly, completely in one go. Using chloroform to bond plexiglass is a technical job. Strictly speaking, chloroform does not bond, but melts. When the plexiglass at the interface on both sides is melted, you put them together, and after a while, they solidify. Become a whole. Therefore, when using chloroform, time control is very important, earlier or later will not work. The amount of chloroform used must also be controlled very accurately. If it is too much, the plexiglass will melt into a big hole. If it is too little, it will not melt enough and it will not stick together. The most annoying thing is that as long as you fail to bond it successfully once and bond it again, it will leave marks on the plexiglass, giving people a lumpy feeling, and if it melts twice, it is likely to make the material become. If it is too small, it cannot be bonded. Only if it is done in one go will it look particularly comfortable and high-end. These 2 land reclamation warriors were really skilled in their craftsmanship. Zhang Chen nodded secretly. Zhang Chen looked at his watch and told Lao Zhang, "Thank you for your hard work. You can go back and rest early." Lao Zhang glared at him and stood still. Lao Tang shouted, "No, no, uncle, I can't leave until I put the house on the sand table, turn on the electricity, and light it up. Then I must enjoy the last moment." Zhang Chen listened and sighed secretly. Old Tang understood the 2 land reclamation warriors, who worked hard all night and didn't want to see his final results. How could it be possible to let them go at this time? The final assembly work is still very time-consuming. You have to fix the house models on the sand table one by one. You have to be careful when installing each building, otherwise all the previous efforts will be wasted. Among the 8 plexiglass houses, there are also, when the power is turned on, there are light-emitting diodes inside. Place it in the exhibition hall and light up the light-emitting diodes inside, and the entire sand table will shine. After the houses were installed in place, the rows of street lights and street trees began to be decorated. They worked until about 8 o'clock in the morning. Tan Shahen arrived with someone driving a tool truck. The work was not finished yet. Lao Tan asked Tan Shahen, "After the museum opens, can you still move in?" The real estate fair opens at 9 o'clock in the morning every day. According to regulations, no further exhibitions are allowed after the opening. And when this sand table is finally completed and transported to the Peace Exhibition Center, it will be past 9 o'clock. Tan Shahen looked at her watch and told Lao Tan that the seats there were already vacant. The sand table in Jiangkan was shipped away last night. I would leave early to negotiate with the Convention and Exhibition Center. Our booth could not be given up. If it's empty, they have to agree even if they don't agree. When everything was completed and the electricity was plugged in, everyone who had worked hard all night couldn't help but applaud when looking at such a beautiful brand new sand table. Tan Shahen said to Lao Zhang and Xiao Zhao's father, "Thank you. You two have worked hard all night and this model is so beautiful. It is much more beautiful than our original one." Lao Zhang said, "Hard work is nothing, Zhen Zhen, I have a request. What are the requirements? Tell me, Tan Shahan said. If you have something like this in the future, just give it to the two of us. We will do it for you for free. Why waste that money? Lao Zhang said. Before Tan Shahan said anything, Zhang Chen said yes. The two old comrades can use their remaining energy, and Tan Shahan and you can indeed save this money. Tan Shahan quickly smiled and said, okay, then I'll thank you two uncles first. Zhang Chen drove the car and sent the two land reclamation warriors back. In the car, they had already begun to discuss how to make the wooden frame. Zhang Chen was secretly amused as he listened. He knew that next, they would start learning carpentry again. It's true that you have to live and learn. Thank you Feng Po Lang 26, Hu, Lu, Shia 201701130912185553 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1527. When Lao Tan and the others loaded the sand tray on the tool truck and prepared to transport it to the Heping Convention and Exhibition Center, it was already 9:30 in the morning. Lao Tan called Tan Shahan and told her that we were ready to come out. Although it had already been open for half an hour, after Tan Shahan negotiated with the management staff of the Convention and Exhibition Center and asked the organizing committee for instructions, the organizing committee still agreed to give Tan Shahan and the others 1 hour to set up the exhibition. They must set up the exhibition before 11 o'clock in the morning. Complete. After all, Jinxia Group is the most important company in the entire housing fair. Many home buyers come here because of Jinxia Group. If Jinxia Group has no houses to sell and its booths are empty, it will affect the popularity of the entire exhibition. Although this housing fair has already exploded in popularity, the organizing committee still hopes to make it even more popular. Tan Shahan asks Xiao Lu to pull up a curtain over the entire entrance of their booth to cover up the empty booth. Many people thought that Jinxia Group had sold out the house and was preparing to close early. Xiao Lu rolled out a vertical billboard that he had prepared a long time ago and placed it in front of the curtain. It read, "City in the Sky, an enduring legend, is grandly launched today at 10:18, so stay tuned." As soon as many people heard that Jinxia Group had launched a new property today, they quickly gathered around and lined up in front of their booth, regardless of where the property was. Many of them arrived late yesterday and did not get it. They are the people in the Jiangkan project house. Jinxia Group's Sky City was launched with heavy thunder but little rain. It was a well-known fact in the real estate industry in Hangzhou. When Xiao Lu came out pushing the billboard, people at the booth next to him, the boss of Jibaoju's Hu Fangyuan, also came to see it, and said to Xiao Lu sarcastically, "Oh, what's strange, your city in the sky appears again." Xiao Lu glared at him and said, "I want you to take care of it." He turned around and went back behind the curtain. Old Tan directed the people and carried the sand tray in. From the gate, many people followed them and asked as they walked, "Where is such a beautiful house?" "Go a little further from Zixi," Lao Tan said. After moving the sand table into the booth, Lao Tan asked Xiao Lu, "Are there so many people queuing outside for the city in the sky?" Xiao Lu nodded and said yes. "Do they know where the city in the sky is?" Lao Tan asked. Xiao Lu shook his head and said, "I don't know either." After setting up the sand table and plugging it in, Xiao Lu stretched her head out of the curtain and looked at the queue outside. It was much longer than in front. She quickly divided the sales staff into several groups and asked them to quickly become familiar with the sand table and ask for they can tell the name, characteristics, and selling price of each community without reading the property brochure or the Sky City brochure. A row of tables was set up in the booth, and she arranged for 4 people to be responsible for collecting payments. After everything was arranged, they stood there, waiting for the arrival of 10:18. It was 10:18, and as soon as the curtain at the entrance of the booth was lifted, the queue immediately became chaotic, and people poured in. The people who came in did not even go to the sand table, they just ran over to grab a number and book a room. To them, it doesn't matter where the house is, or whether it's the second time it's launched. As long as it's a Jinxia Group house, as long as you can grab a number, it's fine. After paying the money and grabbing the number, they went to see the sand table, got the property brochure, followed the sales lady and the gentleman, selected the community, the floor, and the room number. Then, many people queued up again to pay the down payment. At this time, they still don't know where this city in the sky is in Hangzhou. Even Tan Shahen was frightened by such crazy house buying behavior. She felt that these people were completely crazy. These people who spoke Wenzhou dialect, Taizhou dialect, Shaoxing dialect, and Yuwu dialect were not here to buy houses. They were just here to grab vegetables. The money in their hands seems not to be money. This is really a crazy year, a crazy housing fair. In 3 days, Tan Shahen and her Sky City sold more than 3,400 houses, accounting for more than half of the house transactions in non-main urban areas of Hangzhou in May, and the number of people who had booked a house reached 5,100. There are many houses, and there are no house models on the sand table. There are also houses in the community with a to be developed sign, and people have booked them. The crazy sales of Tan Shahen and her Sky City are one of the abbreviations of Hangzhou's real estate market in 2009. In this year, the entire Hangzhou real estate market, regardless of good or bad properties, experienced rapid growth. The madness of Hangzhou's real estate market in 2009 can be seen from a set of data. The stock of housing in the main urban area of Hangzhou dropped from more than 32,000 units at the beginning of the year to 11,000 units by the end of October. Among them, the number of residential housing units dropped from 21,590 units at the beginning of the year to 4,516 units at the end of October. 80% of the existing housing units have evaporated. From extreme surplus to extreme shortage, this is the shocking reversal that occurred in the stock of housing in the main urban area of Hangzhou in the first 10 months of 2009. In just 5 or 6 months, Tan Shahen and the others completed the full-year sales target of 23 billion yuan that Tan Shahen promised in the letter she wrote to all shareholders in April. Lao Tan smiled and said that in half a year, all of us can go home and sleep. Splendid China's stock price has also been rising steadily along with their constantly improving sales, breaking through the 20 Hong Kong dollar mark and reaching more than 22 Hong Kong dollars. Of course, Tan Shahen did not go home and sleep as Lao Tan said. Stimulated by the real estate market in March, April, and May, Hangzhou's land market was finally stimulated to a point of uncontrollable passion and began to explode intensively. As a result, starting from May 20, when the Hangzhou Land and Resources Bureau listed 3 pieces of residential land online, the Hangzhou land market also began to go crazy. The degree of craziness was even far greater than the previous peak of 207 years. Since then, land kings have appeared frequently, land prices have continued to hit new highs, and the land market has continued to set historical records in various aspects such as transfer amount, transfer area, and land sales in a single month. The amount of land sold in the main urban area of Hangzhou also hit a new high of 5,423 acres in 2009, with a construction area of more than 9 million square meters, more than 3 times that of the same period in 2008. Tan Shahen and the others in Splendid China won the Land King at the land auction in May. Lu Ligan was not around, so Tan Shahen asked Zhang Chen to accompany her to attend the land auction, saying that it would give her courage. When Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen appeared in the media, everyone guessed that this should be Tan Shahen's new boyfriend. After digging deeper, they found out that this man was the president of Ben Muishan Group, a typical diamond king. No wonder Tan Shahen took a fancy to her. When seeing a large number of such posts on the internet, Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen laughed. Zhang Chen scolded Tan Shahen, "It's all you who made me lose my virginity." Tan Shahen said, "What should I do, Zhang Chen, or should I really marry you?" "Get out," Zhang Chen cursed, and the two of them laughed. Amid such rumors, Lu Ligan was quickly forgotten. Although he was still the majority shareholder of Splendid China, his name was rarely mentioned again. The rumors even reached the ears of Lao Tan and MRS Tan. MRS Tan and Tan Shahen said, "Zhen Zhen, if you really marry Zhang Chen, your father and I will agree." Lian Xiongnan also said to Tan Shahen, "Mom, why can't you marry Uncle Zhang Chen? I think you and Uncle Zhang Chen are a perfect match. Uncle Zhang Chen and I are very good, but not a perfect match. If two people are too good, they will have the same gender. Such people will definitely not be able to become husband and wife. When you grow up, you will understand," Tan Shahen and Xiang Nan said. There are still some things that Tan Shahen cannot say to Xiang Nan. The results of the college entrance examination are out. Xiongnan was admitted to the Beijing Film Academy. Her two best friends, Zheng Xingxin, were admitted to Tsinghua University, and Zhou Ruyi was admitted to the China Institute of Metrology in Xiaosha. What makes Zhou Ruyi feel the most regretful is that Xiang Nan and Zheng Xingxin are going to Beijing to go to school. They still have many opportunities to be together. Only she will continue to stay in Hangzhou. Zhou Ruyi told Xiang Nan and Zheng Xingxin, "It's a shame. If I had known this, I should have applied to any pheasant university in Beijing." Xiang Nan and Zheng Xingxin comforted her, "Shouldn't we come back during the winter and summer vacations? We can still be together." Zheng Xingxin said that after knowing that I was admitted to Tsinghua University, my mother felt that her mission was completed and she didn't care about me much. Xiang Nan smiled and said, "That's because you brought glory to them in front of your colleagues. Even the children of Zhejiang University teachers, not many can get into Tsinghua University." Zheng Xingxin was stunned for a moment and said, "Xiongnan, what you said may be true. No wonder my parents looked so happy during this time. What about you, what do you think?" Xiang Nan asked Zhou Ruyi, "How did your parents react?" "The reaction was too great," Zhou Ruyi giggled, "My father thinks that I am absolutely overachieving. He had already prepared me to go to college in places like Shaoxing, Wenzhou, and Jinhua. He didn't expect that I would be able to do that stay in Hangzhou." When Xiongnan received the notice from Beijing Film Academy, Zhang Xiangbei had already returned from the United States. Xiongnan encouraged Zhang Xiangbei to tell Zhang Chen that they wanted to go to Sanya together. Xiongnan described Sanya's tropical botanical garden to them. "How beautiful," Zheng Xingxin and Zhou Ruyi almost went crazy after hearing it. Although it was his own botanical garden, Zhang Xiangbei had never been there. Hearing what Xiang Nan said, he also wanted to go and see it. Zhang Xiangbei went to talk to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen asked them who were going, and Zhang Chen said yes, as long as their parents agree. Zhang Xiangbei was the first to tell Sun Xiangyang, and Sun Xiangyang told Lao Sunday. Lao Sun heard that he was going with Zhang Xiangbei, so of course there was no problem. Zhou Ruyi told her father, and her father said, "This is the most relaxing holiday for you. You bid farewell to your middle school career, and your college life has not yet begun. You should really go crazy during this holiday. As long as you promise your father, pay attention to safety and don't just go too crazy." Zheng Xingxin and her mother, Teacher Ding, said that Teacher Ding knew that she was going with Xiongnan, Zhou Ruyi and Zhang Xiangbei and staying at Zhang Xiangbei's hotel. Teacher Ding agreed immediately, this time without even having to. Tan Shahen called her again and she said that this was a reward for Zheng Xingxin. "Go south and talk to Tan Shahen." Tan Shahen agreed, "But you can leave the day after tomorrow." "Why?" Xiang Nan asked. "Mom is going to treat you tomorrow night. So many people have helped you during this period. You have been admitted to Beijing Film Academy. Mom wants to thank them, Tan Shahan said. Xiang Nan said okay, the day after tomorrow will be the day after tomorrow. Tan Shahan called Zhang Chen and told him that she wanted to invite good friends and a few elderly people to dinner. Zhang Chen asked, why Xiangnan? Tan Shahan was right, Zhang Chen, I want to invite Pol's parents to come too. Can you help me call them? Zhang Chen said yes. Thank you Lulu 6717p11, Salted Fish Sewer, Moral Flame, and How, Book Friends 1202111022076991, Book Friends 201906211331102536 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1528. Zhang Chen and his friends at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel on Yan'an Road do not have large private rooms with a seating area of 18 people like those at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel in Xiaosha. The private rooms here are very small, and there are no TVs, karaoke, or a small dance floor in the private rooms. This place is different from Xiaosha. In the city, whoever sings will sing in a place where they are eating. Don't they always change places after eating? Zhang Chen had this in mind when he was designing, so the private room here is just for eating. At the same time, in order to utilize the space as much as possible, the business area here is not as large as Xiaosha. No matter how good the business is, there is no way to expand to the side, so the dojo can only be built in the snail shell. But considering that sometimes there are units and there is a need for dinner parties, Zhang Chen used double-layer sound-absorbing panels between their private rooms and private rooms. When necessary, he can remove the middle partition. If you want to connect several boxes together, you can. Because the partitions are made of double-layered sound-absorbing panels, and the gaps between the two layers of panels are staggered, when partitioned, the sound insulation effect is no worse than that of ordinary private rooms, or even a little better. Tan Shahan asked for 3 private rooms today and asked Huihuan to remove the middle partition. Tan Shahan also told Huihuan that today you are no longer the general manager of the hotel, but my guest. You can eat with us. Huihuan said, thank you Sister Shahan. At about 6 o'clock in the evening, everyone arrived one after another. Zhang Chen's parents, Xiao Zhao's parents, Teacher Tan and MRS Tan, Lao Lu and Ganza's mother sat at the table, and Lao Yang, the regiment leader, also came. He sat down beside Teacher Lao Tan Tan. On the other table were Xiang Nan and Xiang Bei, Tan Shahan, Chu Tianlin, Wei Venfang, Lin Shuwen, Huihuan, Yao Fen, and Su Qiaxin. The last table, which was the drinking table, included Zhang Chen, Lao Tan, Xiao Wu, Xiao Shu, Wu Kai, Lao Tang, Han Jiao Zulu Bang and Wang Min's Hung. As soon as Zhang Xiangbei sat down, he fled to Zhang Chen's table. Zhang Chen asked him what he was doing. Zhang Xiangbei said that there were only women at that table. Wu Zaiwai shouted, Bai Bei, you can sit here, but you want to drink. Our table is full of big drinkers. Zhang Xiangbei pointed at Xiao Wu and said, my master, doesn't he also drink? Wu Zaiwai said, yes, your master should be rushed to your side. Xiao pulled Zhang Xiangbei, sat down next to him, and told him that we just had to stay here today. Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, okay. Wu Zaiwai shook his head and said, there is no way. You two, master and disciple, are very powerful with fists. You two can beat 10 old Tangs. Old Tang shouted, why not 10 of you? They definitely can't do it with 10 of me, Wu Zaiwai said. Old Tang was not convinced. He stretched out his hand and said, come on, let's have a try. Come on, come on. I, the tyrant of Qililong, am still afraid of you, Wu Zaiwai immediately accepted the challenge. The two of them locked arms at the dinner table. As a result, Old Tang crushed Wu Kai to death with a snap. Everyone burst into laughter. Wu Zai blushed and said, "No, no, no, this table is too soft. I'm afraid that if I use force, the table collapsed." Lao Yang came over, patted the food preparation table by the wall, and said to them, "Here, this is strong, I will be your referee." The two stood up, walked to the food preparation table, and competed twice more. In the end, Wu Zai lost. Lao Tan looked on and was unconvinced. He said, "Come on, fatty, let's have a try." Old Tang then competed with Old Tan. Although Old Tang lost in the end, there was a stalemate between the two for several minutes. Old Tan waved his hands and said, "I didn't expect Fatty to really hit him twice. If I try a second time, I will lose." Zhang Chen looked at Old Tang and understood. This Old Tang studied engraving. If his hands were weak, how could he be able to do so with ease with the carving knife in his hand? Moreover, this arm wrestling is all about skill and skill. How could Wu Kai be better than Old Tang when it comes to skill? Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said to Lao Tang, "I'll give it a try with you." When Old Tang heard this, he slipped back to his seat, shook his fat head and said, "I don't dare to compete. How dare I compete with brother Liu?" He looked sideways at Wu Kai and said proudly, "I'll just eat this ki lilong yuba, it's okay." Everyone sat back, and Zhang Chen laughed at Wu Zai. "Wu Zai, you claim to be the best shooter of the factory basketball team, but you went on the court and couldn't score a single point. You claim to be the best in ki lilong, but in the end, you couldn't even arm wrestle Old Tang?" Everyone laughed. Wu Zai blushed, Xiao Wu didn't know what they were laughing at, and everyone else remembered the half of the game at Zhang Chen's Xiaosha factory and the Hangzhou city government basketball team led by Lu Chengcheng. This place was lively, and the other two tables were also attracted here. Except for Lao Yang, he ran over and volunteered to be the referee. He wrapped his hands around the two clasped hands of the two players and shouted, "Start the game, it officially begins." People at the two tables also turned here, looking at the game here. Lin Shuwen was very happy to see that Old Tang had won. Wei Venfang lay down and whispered to them that Wu Zai, in the company, liked to interact with those express delivery people the most. If you are an arm wrestler and a porter, if you are the boss, everyone will definitely give in to you, and he will think that he is invincible. Everyone, including Lao Zhang and the others next door, laughed, but Lao Lu sat there alone, pouring and drinking. As soon as Lao Lu came in and saw the 4 cold dishes on the table, he shouted for a drink. Teacher Ten gave him a bottle of Wulianjai and pushed the 4 cold dishes in front of him, and he started to drink. When he got up, he drank half the bottle of wine before the hot dishes were served. At this time, he was in the mood for drinking. No matter how other places were turned upside down, he had already seen the sun and the moon grow in the pot. The hot dishes came out one after another, and everyone started to eat. The bottle of wine in Lao Lu was almost empty. He sat there with his head drooped and fell asleep. Fortunately, Hui Huan prepared an armchair for him, so he could go wherever he went. Even if he fell left or right, he wouldn't fall to the ground. Everyone was not surprised and followed him, knowing that although he seemed to be asleep, he suddenly got excited and regained his energy to continue drinking. That was something that could happen in a minute. For the first time, Lu Ligan's mother also ordered some wine today and drank with Lao Yang, Teacher Ten, and 2 pioneer warriors. After 2 sips of wine, not only did her face turn red, but her eyes also turned red. The other people were surprised when they saw it, but they didn't feel comfortable asking. It wasn't until Zhang Chen walked over to toast with a cup in hand that Lu Ligan's mother said, "Zhang Chen, tell me the truth, what happened to the pole?" As soon as these words came out, there was silence in the box, and everyone looked here. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "How could something happen to the pole? Auntie, didn't I tell you? You mean the pole is in the United States, right? Lu Ligan's mother said. That means he doesn't want his father and mother. If he does, let alone the United States, even on the moon, during the holidays, he will know. Can you please call back? How old is Baibai? He is also in the United States. Has he called back? Zhang Chen was speechless when asked. Lu Ligan's mother sighed and said. Actually, Zhang Chen, since you and Xiao Wu always ran to my house, I knew something must have happened to the pole. This is not the first time. The last time the pole was in Hainan, it was like this. Suddenly there was no contact. At that time, Xiao Wu often ran home. I know that you are all good brothers of the pole. If he doesn't care about his family, you can help him take care of it. I thank you. Zhang Chen, just tell me the truth. Are you going to get a lawsuit or a bullet? Don't worry, I can bear it. I know that no matter what the outcome is, it's all because of himself. When you get brave enough, one bite can last you a whole day. Zhang Chen looked at Tan Shahan, who nodded slightly. Zhang Chen also felt that there was nothing left to hide. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan's mother said. Auntie, let me tell you the truth. It is true that the pole cannot be contacted, and we can't contact it. But don't worry, he is definitely not facing a lawsuit. He is fine now, but he is somewhere we don't know, but he must be safe. Then tell me, why did he do this? Why did he suddenly disappear? Lu Ligan's mother asked. Tan Shahan came over. She told Lu Ligan's mother that it was because of some debt matters with other people. However, this matter has been dealt with now. Auntie, don't worry. Now that it's been taken care of, Zhen, why hasn't he come back yet? Lu Ligan's mother continued to ask. Zhang Chen said, that's right. We helped handle this matter after Ganza left. Ganza doesn't know about it yet. When he finds out, he will come back. Lu Ligan's mother looked at Zhang Chen's mother. Zhang Chen's mother nodded, looked at Xiao Zhao's mother. Xiao Zhao's mother also nodded, looked at MRS 10. MRS 10 also nodded. It seems that they all know this. The thing is, I just don't know. Lu Ligan's mother sighed again, and she said to Zhang Chen's mother and MRS 10. I really envy you. Look, you have Zhen, Nanan, Zhang Chen, and Baibai. How wonderful it is. Zhang Chen's mother quickly said, Gangzi is also a good boy, and he will be fine in the future. Lu Ligan's mother shook her head and suddenly said to Teacher Tan. Master Tan, you were right when you objected to Zhen being with him. I was still very dissatisfied with you at that time. I apologize to you now. When Lu Ligan's mother said this, Teacher Tan felt uncomfortable. He quickly waved his hands and said. Don't mention it anymore, don't mention it anymore, it's all in the past. Lu Ligan's mother looked at old Lu who was slumped there and said to them. If Zhen follows him, I don't know how much suffering she will suffer. Look, the old and the young are all the same. Who can live together? Lao Lu suddenly woke up and laughed. Everyone was startled by him. Lao Lu said. To live a good life? To live a good life is to have old wine every day. Old wine is a good thing. As he spoke, he reached for the wine bottle and filled himself with wine. His hands did not shake at all, and not a drop of wine was spilled outside. He seemed to have slept and was completely awake again. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Nan K Yiman 79, Niu 0517, The Thread of Cloth, Eternal Green Emperor Yan, Frivolous, Wei Zi 99999, The Wind in My Ears, Cool Travel Way Seeing, Look at the Landscape, The Milky Way, The Flame of Morality, Hu, The Little Brother Who Eats Fish, Pai Wuzun, Daos Hung 123, Why Should We Talk About Dreams in Floating Life, Robin Granite, Zongkai 727, It's Not an Impossible World, Book Friends 1610250923284009's monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1529. After dinner, it was Zhang Chen and Xiao Wu who sent Lu Ligan's parents back. Lao Lu saw Zhang Chen and Xiao Wu there and knew that someone would see him off later, so he felt relieved and let himself go to drink. Get yourself drunk. After Lao Lu got drunk, one thing was better. He didn't make trouble or vomit, and he didn't need anyone to take care of him. He just needed to let him sleep enough. After the drunkenness passed, he would wake up on his own, and then start to little by little, I got drunk again. Zhang Chen and Xiao Wu, one on each side, carried Lao Lu to their own home, their own room, and their own bed. They laid him down, took off his shoes and pants, covered him with a blanket, and let him sleep. When I returned to the living room, I saw Lu Ligan's mother sitting there, looking at them, her eyes red again, but she didn't say anything she wanted to say. Zhang Chen still confessed, "Auntie, if anything happens, just call us." Lu Ligan's mother nodded. Zhang Chen thought for a while and continued, "Auntie, don't worry, he will come back with the pole." "Whether love comes back or not, it's up to him," Lu Ligan's mother muttered. Zhang Chen and Xiao Wu said goodbye and got into the car. Both of them felt a little sad. After driving for a long time, Xiao Wu said that the pole was really a bastard. If he was chased again, he would die if he called home. Zhang Chen was silent and didn't speak. After a while, Zhang Chen sighed and said, "The pole is hiding from us. He knows that if he calls back, his mother will definitely tell us. He just doesn't want us to know a little bit of information about him." Xiao Wu nodded, and the two of them continued to be silent. After driving for a while, Xiao Wu said again, "Brother Chen, I'm inside. Xiao Mei never told me that my mother had passed away. I didn't know until I got home. At that time, I felt that this was more important to me. Prison is a bigger punishment, and one day he will regret it." Zhang Chen was silent. He thought, this is probably because the son wants to support him but refuses to be kissed. They returned to the office. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan were going to Sanya tomorrow. Zhang Chen called Cao Minfang and told her about the matter. Zhang Chen said that he would arrange for them to live in the villa in the botanical garden. Cao Minfang agreed. She said that I would pick them up at the airport, and then arrange for Xiaoxi from the public relations department to accompany them every day, for no other reason than to pay attention to safety. Zhang Chen felt that Cao Minfang's arrangement was very considerate, so he said yes, "Thank you, Cao Minfang." The next day, Zhang Chen and Tan Shehen drove to the airport to drop off their 5 children. After knowing that Cao Minfang was in Sanya and would arrange for someone to take care of them every day, Tan Shehen breathed a sigh of relief. She told Xiang Nan, Zheng Xingxin, and Zhou Ruyi to follow that sister. "Don't run around by yourself, especially at night, don't go to those messy places, you know? Children at such an age are about to go to college again. They are at the age when they are full of curiosity and eager to try out the society." The messy places Tan Shehen mentioned are of course nightclubs. What she doesn't know is that they are actually like bars, karaoke, and Xiang Nan and the others had already been to places like the karaoke hall, where they used to treat classmates at the karaoke bar on their birthdays. For children of such an age, there is no place in their world that adults can fully understand and control. Xiang Nan, Zheng Xingxin, and Zhou Ruyi responded casually. They said okay, let's stay in the room at night. How could we actually do that? The two people stood there, watching them go through the security check. Tan Shehen looked back and saw Zhang Chen looking as if nothing had happened, and cursed, "Zhang Chen, are you used to it? Why do I feel so empty in my heart?" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "What should we do? In 1 month, Xiangnan will go to Beijing alone. She has to face everything by herself. Why, you still want to go with us? I really thought about whether I should set up a branch in Beijing, Tan Shahen said. Stop talking nonsense, Tan Shahen, Zhang Chen scolded. I have a company in Beijing, and Wen Wen and Qian are here. In Beijing, your ability to move is stronger than Wen Wen? If anything happens, they will take care of it. Tan Shahen laughed and said, it's true, thinking about Wen Wen makes me feel more relieved. You are just worrying about it? Children always have to grow up, and they will grow up themselves. When Xiaoli went to Beijing alone, she was not much older than Xiangnan is now. Didn't she build the entire company? Zhang Chen said, and Ying Ying, how much older was Ying Ying than Xiangnan is now when she went to Suzhou to be the general manager? Don't worry if you are someone else's child. Okay, you scolded me well. I'm just a selfish ghost. Is that okay? Tan Shahen rolled her eyes at him and suddenly shouted, look at this child, Nan Nan. She turned around even though she knew I was standing here. When I was there, I didn't even look here, it's really unreasonable. Zhang Chen laughed and said, Zhang Xiangbei didn't even look back. I said you are already used to it, but I am just starting to adapt, Tan Shahen said. They went south to north to Sanya, where Su Qiaxin's parents used their summer vacation to go to Hangzhou to visit Su Qiaxin. Zhang Chen called Tan Shahen. Tan Shahen came over immediately. As soon as she entered the door, she asked, what do Qiaxin's parents do? They are all primary school teachers, Zhang Chen said. Tan Shahen's scalp went numb when she heard it. She said it was a bit difficult. What's wrong? Zhang Chen asked. Teachers are already difficult to deal with, but elementary school teachers are even more difficult to deal with, Tan Shahen said. They regard everyone as their own students, and they are all immature elementary school students. Zhang Chen tried hard to recall the teachers in his elementary school, but after much deliberation, he couldn't think of any of them who were difficult to deal with. He said, Tan Shahen, are you exaggerating? Is that so? Just call Qiaxin over and ask, Tan Shahen said. Zhang Chen called Su Qiaxin. As soon as Qiaxin walked in, Tan Shahen asked her, Qiaxin, do you think your parents are having a hard time? It's difficult, it's quite difficult, Su Qiaxin said without hesitation. They only talk about students who have achieved something about themselves, and when they talk about it, they are very stern. It sounds nice to say stern, but it's actually a bit mean. When I was a child, I was scared to death of them, the kind of parents who thought that whatever you did was wrong, not pleasing to the eye, and not as good as their students. Tan Shahen laughed and said, did you see that? Zhang Chen, if you haven't seen the power of the teacher, I will introduce you to Zheng Xingxin's mother. Zhang Chen scratched his head and said, in my impression, from elementary school to middle school, there seemed to be no teachers who were difficult to deal with. Su Qiaxin looked at him and said, boss, are you the kind of student that all the teachers give up on? Tan Shahen said with a smile, not only that, he was the last student who was kicked out of school by the teacher. No wonder, Su Qiaxin nodded, that's not surprising. What's not surprising? Zhang Chen asked. Your teachers think that even criticizing you is a waste of time. They don't bother to care about you. How can you feel that the teacher is difficult? Su Qiaxin said, and Tan Shahen laughed. Zhang Chen chuckled and said, okay, even if what you said is right, what should we do now? Give up. I don't care, boss. Anyway, if you promise to help me, my parents will leave it to you, Su Qiaxin said. Okay, let's go and help me get Xiao Wu here, Zhang Chen said. Su Qiaxin stood up and said, I can't call you. You call the boss yourself. Even Tan Shahen was puzzled. She asked Su Qiaxin, what are you doing? That damn Xiao Wu, as soon as he heard that my parents were coming, he was scared to death. He said that he was going to take leave to go back to harvest rice. If I called him, he would definitely think that I was here to complain and that I was with you. Conspiracy. Su Kioxin said that Zhang Chen waved his hand and let her go. Zhang Chen called Xiao Wu, and Xiao Wu ran in. When he saw Tan Shahen, he quickly stopped and shouted, "Sister Zhen." Tan Shahen asked Xiao Wu to sit on the sofa. She and Zhang Chen also stood up and walked over. "Xiao Wu, Xiao Xian's parents are coming, do you know?" Tan Shahen asked. Xiao Wu nodded, and he immediately turned to Zhang Chen and said, "Brother Chen, my father called and said that he was not in good health and the rice in the field was ripe again. He asked me to go back and help cut the rice for a few days." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Are you trying to escape?" "No, no." When Xiao Wu said no, his face turned red and he said, "What can I escape from?" "Kioxin's parents are coming, aren't you afraid?" Tan Shahen asked. "What do I have to be afraid of?" Xiao Wu argued forcefully. Zhang Chen said, "As long as you are not afraid, Xiao Wu, I won't allow you to fake it. No one will harvest the rice, so just let it rot in the ground. I have to give you a task." Xiao Wu wanted to go home to harvest rice. Originally, Xiao Wu wanted to avoid Su Kioxin's parents' excuses. Zhang Chen was not allowed to give him another task. Xiao Wu thought to himself, this must be for him to go to Shanghai or somewhere, anyway. "You can avoid it," Xiao Wu immediately agreed. "You don't even want to ask what the mission is?" Zhang Chen asked with a smile. "I have time, so I can go as far as I want," Xiao Wu said. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, "I don't want you to go far away, just stay in Hangzhou. In this way, Su Kioxin is very busy now and has no time during the day and night. You also know this, but her parents are coming to Hangzhou, and they are all the way away. It's not easy to come here, so I will send you to drive with them every day, visit several interesting scenic spots in Hangzhou, and take them to eat all the delicious food." When Xiao Wu heard this, he jumped up from the sofa and froze there. Tan Shahen smiled and said, "Xiao Wu, your reaction is a bit big. Why don't you look at me like you are not afraid of Kioxin's parents?" Zhang Chen laughed. Xiao Wu looked at the two of them and murmured, "Brother Chen, Sister Zhen, you did it on purpose, right?" Zhang Chen said, "Yes, it was intentional. This is a task assigned to you. You have to complete it even if you bite the bullet." Tan Shahen said to Xiao Wu, "Come on, Xiao Wu, sit down and listen to what my sister tells you." Xiao Wu sat down again. Tan Shahen said, "Xiao Wu, it's not easy for you and Xiao Xian to be together. We are all happy for you, but you can't always fall in love without results. Xiao Xian's parents, I can tell you first, for sure I don't agree with you being together. Except for other reasons, as a parent, let me tell you, I think my daughter is a treasure. There are basically no people in this world who can match his daughter. If you don't believe me, look around you. Very few parents will immediately like their prospective son-in-law when they see him." Tan Shahen said, seeing what Zhang Chen wanted to say, she said, "Shut up, you are an exception." Thank you book friend 2016122623402597 book friend 202102261054441110 book friend 201906211331025336 book friend 2020091116010975 Lu, Taizongshang 1, really annoying, neither far nor near, George Shao, Shi Yitan, Hydrogen Oxide Disinfection Knowledge Bureau's monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1530. Tan Shahen continued to talk to Xiao Wu. If you don't say anything else, just look at me. How strongly did my parents object to me talking to the Pole? By the way, Xiao Wu, at this point, you really have to learn from the Pole. Hold the Pole. When cigarettes and alcohol came to our house, my parents paid for them in person, and they kicked people out and threw everything out. My parents scolded me no matter how hard it was, but he still insisted on coming to our house next time during the holidays. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "It's a pity that the Pole didn't bring the beauty home in the end." "Shut up." Tan Shahen raised her eyebrows, glared at Zhang Chen, and cursed, "I'm doing Xiao Wu's ideological work, why are you still causing trouble?" Zhang Chen said, "Okay, I don't dare anymore." Xiao Wu muttered, "But I'm not brother Gang. I really can't imitate his shamelessness." "You have to learn even if you can't learn it," Tan Shahen said. "When they scold you, pretend you can't hear them. When they show you their bad faces, pretend you can't see them." Stop it, stop it." Zhang Chen quickly waved his hand to stop him and said, "We haven't reached that point yet, Xiao Wu, don't worry, they won't scold you or give you a bad look. They will treat you, you'll definitely be greeted with a smile." "Why?" Tan Shahen was also puzzled. Su Qiaxin didn't tell them that she and Xiao Wu were in love. They didn't know about it yet. To them, Xiao Wu was just their daughter's boss and the driver sent to accompany them. Su Qiaxin's parents were crazy. "They will you scold everyone and show your bad face to everyone." Tan Shahen laughed, "Haha, how could I forget this?" "Yes, Xiao Wu, then there is nothing to be afraid of, right?" Xiao Wu murmured, "But I know they are Qiaxin's parents, so I just..." "Are you afraid?" Zhang Chen asked. Xiao Wu chuckled, he was embarrassed to say the word afraid. Zhang Chen told him, "Just keep a normal mind and treat them as the parents of your colleagues. You should accompany them, eat and have fun, and just leave a good impression on them. If they have a good impression of you, then with a foundation." Su Qiaxin went to tell them that you were in love. At this time, even if his parents objected, at least they were compatible. Tan Shahen said, "That's right, Xiao Wu, that's it. You just need to flatter them. Don't worry, after Chiao Xin told them, they are still opposed. Zhang Chen and I will speak for you. We are teachers, yes. One thing that is particularly good is that they all value the evaluation of a person by the leader and the unit." Zhang Chen continued what Tan Shahen said, "Xiao Wu, be more confident and believe in yourself. When you usually deal with others, you leave a good impression on others. Just show your usual state and lay a foundation for the future. Leave the matter of going down to me and Tan Shahen." Seeing Xiao Wu still hesitating, Tan Shahen cursed. "You are still not Xiao Wu. Where has the fearless Xiao Wu gone? What can they do to you, two people in their 50s and 60s? I understand, Xiao Wu, do you care about Jiao Xin? Afraid of messing up the matter and losing her?" Xiao Wu blushed, but nodded. "Then you need to work harder. You know, as long as you work hard, Jiao Xin will see it. Even if you don't meet expectations in the end, she won't blame you, she will only blame her parents for being stubborn." Tan Shahen looked at Xiao Wu and continued, "On the contrary, if you don't do anything, Jiao Xin will blame you. She will think that you are being hypocritical to her and that you are not willing to work hard for her. Do you understand?" Xiao Wu nodded. "That's what we have decided. When the time comes, you will complete your mission, and the rest will be left to Su Qiaxin and us," Zhang Chen said. Xiao Wu sighed and said okay. After saying that, Xiao Wu scratched his head and said with a smile, he didn't expect it to be so troublesome. Tan Shahen hit him and cursed, "What are you thinking? If you have no money, it would be difficult for you to go to the store to get an apple. You are asking for a daughter who has been raised for more than 20 years. Is it that easy? This is a brilliant statement. Zhang Chen smiled. Tan Shahen, you will definitely be a difficult mother-in-law in the future. Get out, Tan Shahen cursed. According to Zhang Chen's prior arrangements, Su Qiaxin drove to the train station to pick up her parents, and sent them to the International Building to stay, and then brought them to the work unit and Zhang Chen's office. Zhang Chen would first praise Su Qiaxin, and then talk to her. Su Qiaxin's parents said that it is not easy for you to come to Hangzhou. Although Su Qiaxin does not have time to accompany you, you can rest assured that there will be arrangements in the unit. Then, Xiao Wu will appear on the scene at this time. Zhang Chen will introduce Xiao Wu to Su Qiaxin's parents and tell them that Xiao Wu will be with you in the next few days. If you have any requests, you can tell him. Su Qiaxin's parents were taken over by Xiao Wu without leaving any trace. Su Qiaxin drove her car and on the way to send her parents to the International Building. Su Qiaxin felt that the foreplay should begin and she needed to make a preparation first. She told them that she was very busy during this period and had to work overtime every day. There are a lot of orders to be processed, and there is no other way. To do foreign trade, we have to rely on customers, and we have to spare their time. Su Qiaxin's mother was unhappy when she heard this. Her face dropped, and she said, "Qiaxin, what do you mean by saying this as soon as you see us? Do you think your dad and I shouldn't come? Are we disturbing your work by coming?" No, Su Qiaxin said quickly, "I'm just explaining to you that being busy is an objective fact. However, the president of our company knows that you are coming and is very concerned about it. He knows that I can't get away. No, he doesn't care. The arrangements have been made for you. The hotel we are going to now was arranged by him. Also, he will arrange for his own driver to accompany you for the next few days. He will take you wherever you want to go, and he will take you to eat whatever you want." Hearing what Su Qiaxin said, her mother's face became more cheerful, but her father became suspicious. He asked, "Qiaxin, what does it mean that your boss is so nice?" "What do you mean, he just cares about his subordinates," Su Qiaxin said lightly. "Is he so kind to every subordinate?" Su Qiaxin's father asked next. "How is that possible? If he's not too busy, you guys are getting special treatment," Su Qiaxin said casually. As soon as the words came out, she screamed in her heart. It didn't sound right. "Su Qiaxin, I remember that you are still his assistant, right? On TV, the male boss and the female assistant will have an unclear relationship. Is it the same with you?" Sure enough, Su Qiaxin's father started to have a seizure. "Is this why he wants to curry favor with us?" Su Qiaxin didn't expect that her father would say such a thing, and she was annoyed at the time. She turned around and parked the car on the side of the road. Her face turned red with anger. Su Qiaxin turned around and shouted to the back, "Teacher Su, don't you think what you said is too much? What do you think of your daughter? Am I that dirty?" Su Qiaxin's mother also scolded, "What kind of messy TV series are you watching, and how are they affected by it? Aren't you afraid that your thoughts will affect your students in class?" Su Qiaxin's father quickly argued and said, "Su Qiaxin, if it doesn't happen, it won't happen. Why are you excited? Even if it's not happening now, it doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. Let me remind you, is it wrong to give you a vaccination? Besides, even if you don't have such dirty thoughts, it doesn't mean your boss doesn't have it. Anyway, I just feel like he's not getting rewarded for his work, and he's strangers to us, so why should he be so nice to us? I work for him day and night every day to make money for him. Is that okay?" Su Qiaxin shouted, "It's really unreasonable. Your principal still treats teachers as cold and hot. He doesn't care about outstanding teachers have a better attitude. What, you still think that I am a mediocre person in the work unit? Teacher Su, don't think that just because you are a senior teacher, you are so great. Our company has more than 8,000 employees, more than the people in your school. I can emerge from these 8,000 people. I rely solely on my own efforts, I never need to rely on anything other than my abilities, so don't look down on others. What did you say? Suki Oxen's father roared, how dare you call me a dog eye? What's wrong, if you see me so dirty, you have dog eyes. Suki Oxen shouted loudly, her eyes were already red, and she was angry and anxious. The angry one was her father, who slandered her and Zhang Chen for having an improper relationship when they first met. The anxious thing was that he wanted to please them, lured them deeper, and finally told them about his affair with Deadly Xiao. How come they had already done it before they even saw Deadly Xiao in person? That's enough. That's enough. That's enough for both of you. Listen to your own words, what a shame, Suki Oxen's mother shouted loudly. A motorcycle came up from behind and parked next to their car. A traffic policeman got off the motorcycle and knocked on Suki Oxen's window. What? Suki Oxen pressed down the car window and shouted loudly, which startled the traffic policeman. Then Suki Oxen saw clearly that it was a policeman and was immediately frightened. Why did you park your car here? Give me your driver's license, said the traffic policeman. Suki Oxen took out her driver's license and handed it to the traffic policeman. While receiving it, the traffic policeman looked at the three people in the car and muttered, the little girl has quite a temper. Suki Oxen's father snorted. When Suki Oxen heard this, she became angry again. She turned her head and shouted at her father in the back row, Humph, why? Isn't it all your fault? The traffic policeman knocked on the roof of the car. Hey, little girl, please tell me if you have something to say. Suki Oxen was a little anxious and muttered, he didn't even say it nicely. The traffic policeman was puzzled and asked Suki Oxen's mother, what is your relationship? Suki Oxen's mother looked a little shy and said, she is our daughter. The traffic policeman smiled and said, a family is so angry. He looked at Suki Oxen and said, little girl, can you calm down your anger and talk to your parents? If you can, I won't punish you. Suki Oxen quickly said, okay, thank you. The traffic policeman returned her driver's license to her, waved her hand and said, let's go. Thank you Kulvwixing, Huhu, Zongkai 727, and Chuyo 20171021021201332343 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1531. Suki Oxen brought her parents to live in the International Building. Suki Oxen's father ignored her all the time. Suki Oxen called her mother to the window and told her, have you seen it? This is the tallest building in the center of Hangzhou. Over there at Woolen Square behind us is our company, in the center of Hangzhou, which is also owned by our boss's friend, and you will also meet him in the past 2 days. Suki Oxen's father snorted again. Suki Oxen looked at him and ignored him. Beside this hotel, there is also the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, which is also owned by our company. Our boss will treat you to dinner here in the evening, Suki Oxen said. What are you showing off? Her father snorted again, and Suki Oxen was about to get angry when her mother said, Ki Oxen, don't you want to take us to your company to have a look? Let's go. Suki Oxen said yes, but her father stared at the TV and refused to go. Her mother scolded. Whether love goes away or not, let him watch those messy TV series here and let his mind be corroded. Ki Oxen, let's go. Suki Oxen burst out laughing, and she said, okay, don't care about him being a lonely old man. The two of them went downstairs and walked to the door. Suki Oxen led her mother to the parking lot. Suki Oxen's mother said, it's such a small distance, no matter what car you drive, let's just walk there. Suki Oxen said no, it was such a hot weather and she was covered in stinky sweat. Su Kioxin's mother criticized her and said, "Kioxin, you have a problem with your thinking now. It's not normal for people to sweat in the summer. What does it mean to be covered in stinky sweat?" "Okay, Teacher Wang, you are right, but I have to deal with people every day and communicate with them face to face. I don't want the smell of sweat on my body to scare people away," Su Kioxin said. Her mother rolled her eyes at her and followed her to the parking lot and got in the car without saying a word. Su Kioxin drove the car downstairs to the dynamic zone, got out of the car, and told her mother that this market also belongs to our company, and our company is just above this market. The two went upstairs and turned around. Su Kioxin saw Xiao Wu squatting on the flower bed smoking. When he saw them, he slipped into the design center next to him. Su Kioxin was secretly amused and cursed, "You are still hiding, you coward. I'll see where you hide later." When passing by the design center, Su Kioxin had a thought in her mind. She did not take her mother directly upstairs, but transferred into the design center. She said, "Teacher Wang, let me take you to visit our company's design center first." Xiao Wu had just hid in the design center, his heart still pounding, when he suddenly saw Su Kioxin and her mother coming in. She was startled and hurriedly walked further inside. Ji Ling saw it through the glass partition of her office. He shouted, "Xiao Wu, Xiao Wu." Xiao Wu could only stand. Ji Ling stood up and walked to the door. Before she could speak, Su Kioxin called Ji Ling and led her mother towards them. Xiao Wu quickly told Ji Ling, you are busy, I will go over there." As he said that, he went around another way. Su Kioxin couldn't help laughing as she looked at Xiao's fleeing figure. Ji Ling seemed to understand something. She asked Su Kioxin, "Why are you laughing?" Su Kioxin pursed her lips, shook her head, and then introduced her mother to Ji Ling. Su Kioxin's mother looked around and saw that in rows, more than 20 designers were immersed in work. She couldn't help but admire Ji Ling and said that so many designers were like art classes in our school. Su Kioxin couldn't help but laugh. Ji Ling was surprised by her laughter and asked, "Why are you laughing?" Su Kioxin's mother asked, "Why, doesn't it look like it?" Su Kioxin still shook her head, feeling overjoyed. This was her mother's style. She would compare everything with her school. When she said something was very similar or the same as their school, that was the highest praise. Su Kioxin then took her mother upstairs to visit her company and sit in her office. Teacher Wang sat on Su Kioxin's swivel chair and looked at the rows of tables outside the glass partition, where dozens of salesmen and document clerks were sitting, as well as a row of QC offices, all led by his daughter, and felt quite satisfied. I almost said that this is very much like the large teacher's office in their school. That office was converted into a classroom, and here, there are 2 rooms as big as that one. Teacher Wang regretted a little and didn't force Teacher Su to come over and have a look. Looking at her daughter, she was even more impressive than their principal. Su Kioxin then took her to the next door, where there was a classroom-sized warehouse. There were rows of neat shelves, and each shelf was densely packed with various things, from clothing to various hardware tools, lamps, toys, and Christmas items. There is a dazzling array of supplies, more abundant than the products in a supermarket. There are many that Teacher Wang has never seen before, and he doesn't know what they are used for. Su Kioxin told her that most of the samples here are samples provided by our customers, and some are designed by our company for customers. Teacher Wang was startled and asked, "Have you ever exported these products?" "Of course," Su Kioxin said, "why would I be so busy otherwise?" Su Kioxin introduced to her mother carefully, which country this was going to, and which country this was going to. Teacher Wang listened and felt that what her daughter was memorizing was simply a map of the world. When she walked to the corner, she saw boxes of tents standing against the wall. Su Kioxin told her mother that during the Wenchuan earthquake, our company donated 100,000 tents. 100,000, her mother was startled. How much does that cost? It's worth more than 40 million, Soo Kyeoksun said. Originally, the Hangzhou city government wanted to purchase it from us, but our boss insisted on donating it. More than 40 million? All donated? That's more than our region donated. I remember that our region donated a total of more than 30 million, which was big news, Teacher Wang said. We also donated another 10 million yuan in cash, and everyone in our company also donated. I donated 2,000 yuan. Soo Kyeoksun said that her mother kept nodding and said, "It seems that your president is still a conscientious entrepreneur." Of course, Soo Kyeoksun said. Her mother looked at Soo Kyeoksun and asked, "Kyeoksun, you seem to admire your president. What's the meaning?" Soo Kyeoksun immediately became alert. She felt that Teacher Wang's words had the same meaning as Teacher Soo. Teacher Wang said, "It's not interesting, I'll just ask." Soo Kyeoksun's heart was in knots, but she had no choice but to take her mother to Zhang Chen's office, otherwise, the play would not be able to continue. Someone knocked on the door and Zhang Chen said, "Please come in." The door opened and Soo Kyeoksun and a woman in her 50s came in. Zhang Chen quickly stood up and greeted them. Soo Kyeoksun introduced, "Mr. Zhang, this is." Zhang Chen smiled and said, I know, it's Teacher Wang, right?" Soo Kyeoksun's mother smiled and said, "Yes, my surname is Wang." Zhang Chen let them sit on the sofa. He turned around and went to the refrigerator to get them water. Soo Kyeoksun's mother came close to Soo Kyeoksun and said in Soo Kyeoksun's ear, "Is your president so young?" She thought Zhang Chen was a bad old man about her own age, in her 50s or 60s. Such an old man would like to have female assistants and secretaries. Did Kyeoksun's father say that there was really such a danger? But seeing that Zhang Chen was so young, no more than 40 years old, in the prime of life, and a bit handsome, Teacher Wang immediately had another worry in his heart, that is, such a man is the most harmful to young girls. Strong, and from Soo Kyeoksun's opening and closing words about our boss, it can be seen that his previous guess was correct. Kyeoksun really admires their boss. Zhang Chen came over with 2 bottles of water and placed them in front of them. Teacher Wang bowed and said thank you. Zhang Chen looked at Soo Kyeoksun and asked her, "By the way, you didn't bring Teacher Soo to the company to see you?" Teacher Wang quickly said, "Her father is feeling a little unwell and is resting in his room." Zhang Chen immediately asked, "Do you want to go to the hospital? It's such a hot weather and the journey is so long. You couldn't have suffered a heat stroke on the train, right?" Soo Kyeoksun said angrily, "No, he's jet-lagged." Zhang Chen almost laughed out loud. He looked at Soo Kyeoksun and understood in his heart that they were father and daughter, and they were having a conflict. Teacher Wang also quickly said, No, I'm just a little tired, just take a nap." Next, there was a set of words prepared in advance. Zhang Chen said how Soo Kyeoksun was the backbone of their company's business and how strong her working ability was. Thank you to Teacher Wang and Teacher Soo for raising such an outstanding daughter. The more Zhang Chen said, the bigger the knot in Teacher Wang's heart became. She felt that not only Kyeoksun admired President Zhang, but it seemed that President Zhang also admired Kyeoksun. It would be very dangerous for 2 people who admire each other to be together. Teacher Wang responded indiscriminately, but his eyes looked at Zhang Chen from head to toe several times. He also looked at the office several times. He even stared at the bathroom door for a while, thinking to himself, will the CEO's office be like those arrested corrupt officials posted on TV and newspapers? There is a small room behind the door. There was a bed in the room, and, if that were the case, the CEO and the female assistant would be even more. Teacher Wang felt his heart become heavy. Soo Kyeoksun observed her mother, looked into her dripping eyes, and knew what she was thinking. The more she guessed what she was thinking, the angrier Soo Kyeoksun felt, and she felt like she was about to burst out. Fortunately, Zhang Chen changed the topic and said to Teacher Wang, I'm really sorry. It's not easy for you to travel all the way to Hangzhou. Originally, I should give Su Qiaxin a few days off and let her spend time with you, however, now the foreign trade company really cannot do without her. There is no way. Many customers have identified her and must communicate with her. They will not do it with others. Now, it is different from previous years. Instead of sending emails back and forth, we have to communicate in real time online, and even directly hold video conferences. In this way, Su Qiaxin cannot leave the office. Regarding this, I'm so sorry. Teacher Wang quickly said, it doesn't matter. Of course, work is the first priority. Well, Teacher Wang, in order to make up for this regret, can I send someone to accompany you every day starting from tomorrow? Zhang Chen asked. No need to go to such trouble, Mr. Zhang, Teacher Wang said. This is what I should do, Zhang Chen said. The weather in Hangzhou is so hot, I can't let you squeeze into the bus, and taxis in Hangzhou are difficult to get. If there is no one to accompany you, in case of heat stroke, unfortunately, as a leader, not only do I feel guilty, but I also have no way to explain to Su Qiaxin, because she makes sacrifices for the company every day. As Zhang Chen spoke, he picked up the phone and called Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu walked in and entered the door. He took a few steps forward and then stopped. He didn't dare to go any further, as if he was ready to step in from the door at any time. Slip. Zhang Chen introduced, Teacher Wang, this is my assistant Xiao Wu. Starting from tomorrow, he will accompany Teacher Wang and Teacher Su. When Su Qiaxin heard Zhang Chen's introduction, he was very impressed. Zhang Chen didn't say that Xiao Wu was his driver like him. This was to raise Xiao Wu's identity. He said he was an assistant. That's great. Look. Come on, Teacher Wang, Teacher Su, our boss not only has me as a female assistant, but also a male assistant, what else can you say? Xiao Wu, come and meet Su Qiaxin's mother. This is Teacher Wang. Zhang Chen greeted Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu's face turned red and he had to move forward. He walked 2 or 3 meters away from Teacher Wang, bowed to her and said, Hello, Teacher Wang. Thank you to Uncle Wang Pacino, who is 48 years old, 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, 2 fishes on one side and 2 fishes on the other side, flipping through books every day, Dal Tin Soldier, ranking 3rd from top to bottom. Thank you Uncle Wang Pacino, Xiao Shen Nian Fang 48, Dachuan, Lang 68, George Xiao, Tamagotchi, Book Friends 201710212013323343, Book Friends 202002261350232000, Book Friends 201707241126511879, Book Friends 201706091050033937, Book Friends 201712210210399930 monthly tickets. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health.